Alrighty guys, so Lady Rena Saru here, and I'm going back to episode 1, or chapter 1, or whatever, of Book of Shadows, and we're here to hear my reactions to the wrong endings, to this game. In chapter 1, seems like the shortest, but chapter 1 has 2 wrong ends. So I'm gonna edit to that part, and let's get started. Alrighty, so I edited to where both the wrong ends happen. Basically, the first wrong end, which is the one that's coming up, is using the bucket outside. Let's see how badly this is gonna go. I'll be right back, Seiko. I'm gonna get something to stand on. So, I hurried out into the hallway to grab the bucket I'd seen sitting on the ground there earlier. If I were to stand on that, I was certain I could reach Seiko's neck, even at my height. Inside the bucket were clumps of unidentifiable rotting meat, crawling with countless maggots. The sight alone was nauseating. But this was no time to be grossed out. Seiko's life was on the line. So, I picked up the bucket with surprisingly little hesitation. Okay. After dumping its contents onto the ground, I held the dirty bucket tight against my chest and rushed back into the bathroom. I will save you, I will! Takes sweet ass time. Oh, she's still alive? Seiko, hold still. I'm gonna loosen the rope. So, I threw the bucket onto the floor upside down and stepped onto it like a footstool. Sure enough, this gave me the lift I needed to reach Seiko's neck. This would work. I was gonna save her. I positioned my hand on Seiko's shoulder and began feeling around for the knot, but then... Oh. The bottom of the old rusted bucket had given way. I lost my footing and fell, inadvertently pulling down on Seiko's body. Her thin neck snapped easily. God, no! No, Seiko! Seiko's neck was twisted unnaturally. Her arms and legs hung limply and swayed back and forth with the momentum of my fall. She would struggle no more. So, I could still feel the sensations of the last moment on my hand. I was responsible for this. I broke her neck. I killed Seiko. I clasped my hands on either side of my head and curled up in a fetal squat. This was all predestined to happen. It was an inescapable fate.
だけど変えることはできたはずなのに。
But somehow I should have been able to change it.
私の中で恐怖と絶望と怒りのような感情が渦巻いて止まらない。分かってたのに。
Fear, despair, and anger were all swirling around inside my head, and I couldn't do a thing to quell them. I knew what was going to happen. I knew it!
止められなかった。なんてこと。私はまた同じことを繰り返してしまったんだ。
But I couldn't stop it. What the hell was wrong with me? I just went through the same motions as before. I made the exact same mistake, and now Seiko was dead. Oh, that was it? Wrong end, number 1. Wrong end 1! Woo! Alright, so wrong end number 2. We grab her body.
とにかく釣られている聖子の体を浮かせて首を楽にしてあげようとした。
I knew I had to lift Seiko's body into the air, loosening the pull on the rope so she could breathe, unfortunately.
苦しくて暴れる聖子の足が私の顎を蹴り飛ばした。
While writhing, Seiko inadvertently kicked me square in the jaw.
よろけた私は床に尻餅をついてしまった。
The force of the blow caused me to stumble and fall backwards.
聖子！苦しいんだ。急がなきゃ。
She's really suffering. I have to hurry. And snap.
聖子！聖子の首が変な風に曲がっていた。全身の力が抜け、だらりとした手足がつられた体と一緒にゆらゆらと回転している。
So wait, is it just gonna be the same dialogue? Seiko's neck was twisted unnaturally. Her arms and legs hung limply and swayed with the leftover momentum of a struggle that would plague her no more.
嘘でしょ。やだ、聖子！
God, no, no, Seiko!
間に合わなかった。心で否定しても頭の中では分かっていた。
So it's basically the same thing, just the dialogue is a little different.
定められた運命。
I didn't make it in time. Maybe I couldn't. Maybe this was all predestined to happen. An inescapable fate. I didn't want to accept it, but here it was.
だけど変えることはできたはずなのに。
Still, I should have been able to change it.
私の中で恐怖と絶望と怒りのような感情が渦巻いて止まらない。
So, fear, despair, anger were all swirling around inside my head, and I couldn't do a thing to quell them.
分かってたのに。分かってたのに。
I knew this was gonna happen. I knew it.
止められなかった。なんてこと。私はまた同じことを繰り返してしまったのか。
But I couldn't stop it. What the hell was wrong with me? I just went through the same motions as before. I made the exact same mistakes, and now Seiko.
聖子、やだ。一人にしないで。私を置いていかないで。
Seiko, no. Don't leave me alone here. Don't leave here without me.
冷たい静寂が私の体を包み込む。私以外の命の消滅。
A cold silence surrounded me.
絶望。
I was the only living thing being left. This was the ultimate despair, the hopelessness of being completely alone.
どんなに叫んでも聖子は返事をしてくれなかった。
And no matter how much I screamed, Seiko would never speak to me again. Alright, so more or less same outcome as the first wrong end. So that was pretty quick. Like I said, after I beat each chapter, I just go and look up how to obtain the wrong endings and then record those separately. If I get wrong endings, the wrong ends in my initial playthrough, I'll probably still redo them anyway because I still want to make the wrong ends as much of a separate video as possible. So, alrighty. So those were the wrong ends for chapter 1. Not as good as the wrong ends from the first game for chapter 1, because like in the first game it was like there was some like severe consequences to getting the wrong ends, and yeah, this was kind of just the same. It was basically both wrong ends were the same, just worded differently. So, alrighty, so there's your wrong ends for chapter 1. So there's your wrong ends for chapter 1, and I'll see you guys in probably the wrong ends for chapter 2.